first time I ever went into this store, I was completely amazed by all of the amazing displays and just crazy items that I had not seen before. And of course, it was no different this time when I went into the other location of Classic Game Junkie. This place is located in Pennsylvania, and boy, do they have some crazy items. So we'll go ahead and see how my experience was. So right away, this shelf definitely draws me in. You see the Super Mario Bros. 2 clock. That thing is just so awesome. I've seen some of the larger ones, but all of these like little figures over here, these vintage figures, you know, Donkey Kong, you know, seeing that style, just all of that is like such a throwback, you know, Punch Out. Just really cool to see some of this vintage stuff. A lot of that stuff has gotten like lost over the years. So it's really cool having like a whole dedicated spot for all of this cool stuff in here. And I just love it. There's like all kinds of patches and just pins and buttons and all kinds of stuff in this entire case here. Just a really cool, you know, spot to see everything all together. So this guy is one that I would love to have in the collection. I've only seen it a handful of times, and especially one time at my buddy's house, I actually got to see a close-up of this. But this is just so cool. Seeing this in like the front window, it like really draws you into these video game stores. So that's really cool. So while I was here, I actually found a bunch of Nintendo Entertainment System games, and I got so distracted by all of the crazy Nintendo oddities at this location. There were just so many cool items here, and it was just mind-blowing seeing all of this amazing stuff in one location. So I decided to add a few Nintendo games into the set. So this one right here, I had never heard of this game before. This is Image Fight. And this game actually has a very interesting label. Definitely kind of like draws your attention in, kind of reminds you of some sort of like space shooter, but this like really cool action. And this game is not like crazy expensive, but this is a really fun one. So I can't wait to like dive into it a lot more. But this is pretty much your fun spaceship shooter game. The artwork looks amazing. That's definitely notable. So you pretty much like fly up and you shoot everything. Now I love how like the style, and there's like this crazy variety of the different weapons. This game is definitely worth playing. It's so much fun, and you don't have to like break the bank when you're playing it. So this is probably one of the more notable games in this pickup, and I'm really excited because this location had like so many to choose from. They had like complete in-box games, they had really great prices, and it was just really cool to see like a crazy variety at this location. Now, this game is one that, you know, I actually needed. Now, I do have one of these. This is the Miracle Piano. So it says the Miracle Piano Teaching System. I needed the game for this. I still need the game for the Super Nintendo. I need the adapters. I might actually have one of them, but I'll have to double check in the box. And I'll have to dig this thing out of storage. This box is like so big, so bulky. It takes up a lot of space. But this would have been like the coolest thing back in the day, you know, to play games and like have this kind of help you go through and play the piano. So I'll definitely have to do like a deep dive on this now that I'm getting more of the pieces of it. So this is definitely a fun one. I'm so glad that I scored it. And, you know, there was just so many cool things at this location. So I'll have to go back. The last time I went there though, I actually was buying a Dreamcast kiosk, one of the two that I have, and I was right down the street, so I figured I'd stop on by and see what the store had to offer, and I scored like amazing promo items and so much cool stuff, and they still had an amazing variety, so I'll definitely be back again. So I always find it funny when I see like these car adapters and these different things, just because of I remember those days, you know, when you used to play these handheld games, you would be in the car playing for hours, and I think that this is so funny when you see these like old, kind of outdated, you know, we don't really use this stuff anymore, but back in the day, this stuff was all the rage. So I just chuckle anytime that I see this stuff. Now, this is another game that I'm shocked that I haven't really had in the collection. This is Xevious. So we have The Avenger. So this is another fun game. So this one right here, it's definitely a tough shooter. It plays well, but, you know, the arcade looks so much better. I feel like that's where I've actually played this before, but this had this, like, scrolling plane that was pretty interesting at this time. You know, we'll always remember those, like, arcade experiences that we have, and some of the systems that these, like, arcade games reported to, they didn't do the best job, but this one is not bad. It just is completely different, you know, of an experience when you're playing on the arcade versus the Nintendo Entertainment System. But this is another inexpensive game, and I'll have to go back and play the arcade again, you know, just have those memories. I've definitely played it before, probably at a convention, so I'll have to be on the lookout for that. So I feel like Spot was everywhere back in the day, you know, 7-Up. So this is licensed for play on the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is Spot, the video game. Now, I know there's like another Spot game that's like a cool game on the Super Nintendo. I think I picked that one up already. But this one is interesting only because it is like a 4-player game. But it's kind of like this board game style. And, you know, it's interesting, I guess, to play with multiplayer when you're playing with your friends. But other than that, I don't really think it's like the best game. You know, what do you really expect? But this one, it actually said something that I found very interesting on the box. So it says, Spot is cool if you're 6 or 60. So it's just weird, you know, to advertise that. But I guess they were like trying to appeal to every single person. The really great thing about this game, though, are the animations that Spot does, like, as you're playing through. So that is very interesting and, like, notable. But other than that, this is a game that I probably won't play. Maybe if someone else wants to and they, like, remember it from back in the day because this was very notable. But other than that, I just don't see me playing this one very often. Now on to Star Voyager. So this is one that, you know, has a rough start. Boy, does this game have a rough start. So this one is pretty much you have to save the galaxy in space, but it has a super slow beginning. It's very difficult to, like, find the enemies, and then when you do, there's, like, a bunch of them at one time. But if you're just kind of, like, going around, I feel like you don't really get the best space shooter type of experience out of this particular game, so I could see why this one was on the cheaper end, and it's probably one that I won't really focus on just because I want to play some of the other ones. Now on to Infiltrator. So this is one that you definitely need to know the controls. You have to look them up because it is a little bit challenging to try and get the, like, start of this game where you're trying to figure out how to take off. So I feel like this is one that maybe I'll have to, like, dive a little deeper, try and find, like, a manual or something like that to kind of, like, assist through this particular game. But once again, another cheaper title. And I'm sure there are much better options, but I'm curious if you actually played this game before and if you remember this one. So I always think it's fun when you go into these specific video game stores and just seeing and, like, feeling the whole vibe of what's going on. Seeing these amazing video game signs, these, like, amazing displays that you just don't see very often. And to find all of them at one location is just really cool. It's so welcoming when you walk into these locations and you see these, like, statues and signs and colors and lights and just everything, like, right there, drawing you into the location. It's really cool to see how these stores are set up and how they, like, cram so much into one particular location. So I definitely had a blast, you know, going through and just seeing all of these crazy cool items that I would love to have in the collection. So if you guys are ever out in Pennsylvania and this particular area, you might want to check out these locations because they are within like 20 minutes of one another. And the other location had a really cool arcade that was attached to the video game store. So that's always a fun time where you get quite the experience, you get a memorable time, and you get to shop for video games. So it's just really cool to kind of see everything, like, put together. but this was definitely a store that I'll have to be back at again. I had a blast the first time I came in here, and it has changed so much. They have put way more into this location, and I can't wait to go back and see what they find, you know, and just have for people to shop at. So I'm just really excited to see what they add in the future. So have you guys been out to Classic Game Junkie? Have you guys purchased anything? And what Nintendo games would you be on the lookout for? So of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out all of my other videos and stay tuned for more.